But we talked a little bit how your pelvis works, how it actually has to work in your golf swing, right? So my pelvis, just to remind you, right? I start square, I have a little bump. This is higher than this now, this is higher than this. I reverse it, I move down, so I've got to move down to the bottom of my swing. This gets to midpoint. Now my center of gravity is traveling uphill because this knee's higher, blocks my pelvis, and I rotate over. Okay? So that's the base of it. Now, how my spine works is this. If I'm standing like this, my spine sits like this. The facets are, it looks like a little triangle here, right? So they're all stacked, and I've got lots of curves in my spine. But the way my spine behaves through this part is if I side bend, and that's why I have this reverse K position at address. If I side bend and I extend, that means I stay behind it. Because of the contact of the facets on the right side, when I'm doing this as a right-handed golfer, the contact here actually creates rotation to the opposite side. That's that Fryette's law in chapter 19, I guess. So if I side bend and extend, the properties of my spine, the dynamics of my spine, physiology determines that I'm going to actually turn that way. So Fryette's law is a law of skeletal anatomy. Side bending and extension lead to rotation to the opposite side. So it's not having huge stomach muscles that allows me to get lots of rotation fast. That would have been a complete waste of time. From an evolutionary standpoint, this came first, this came second. It wouldn't have made sense to have huge stomach muscles and obliques just for me to play golf. My internal organs are way more important. So because I need this space for my internal organs and not a huge stomach muscles for playing golf, the design of the spine works really well. So what you got to realize is even when I'm doing something simple like walking, when I walk, my spine goes back and forth, right? It flexes and extends. It side bends as well, and it rotates. And it all happens at the same time. You take a look at what happens when I walk. Unless I actually have this hip come up a little bit and as I toe off, my foot would drag, right? And then it goes from extended to flexed to help this come forward. And there's the side bending and the rotation that happen at the same time. Monkeys have straight spines, so they don't really move like that, right? But humans have a lot of curves in their spine. So what happens is my spine's constantly moving and going through, but we can take advantage of that, right? With our setup. The other thing is, should I lift my heel or not? Well, same vein, there's a spinal researcher named Sergei Grakovetsky, and he wrote this book called The Spinal Engine. And one of the things he showed is when you heel plant, it's the swing phase of the gait, so you go through, and as your heel strikes, there's a compressive pulse that goes up, sends a little pulse up through your leg, through the SI joint, into the spine, and that compressive pulse creates counter-rotation of the hip. So when I strike with this side, this hip wants to close. I strike with this one, that wants to go because of the action of the compressive pulse in my spine. So if I get this compressive pulse, I heel plant, and this wants to rotate, well, that helps me with my golf swing, right? Because I'm planting, and my body's actually hardwired for this to happen. So it's actually a little bit better, more adaptive from a physiology standpoint for me to have a little bit of plant, because now I'm using like my body's design to actually help me with my rhythm and how my body's going to move, right? So that's what we're trying to sort of get you guys to learn. So when I set you up like this and we do this, I've got side bending in my spine already. I've preset extension, right? And that'll actually help me rotate to this other side. That was that drill this morning. Now if I'm here, I don't have side bending, now what am I have to do? I'm going to have to try to rip around. I'm not working within my physiology. I'm at odds with the design of my spine.
There's no extension?
Yeah, well, you can't get extension, so then you're not going to get the third component, which is rotation. So then you're going to be doing this. So that's why it's really important to have those things set up. That's a setup. So if I'm stacking here, then how am I going to? I'd have to really reverse, but then now I've got to make an effort to rotate a little bit more. It's not typically how my spine's designed to work. But like it's normal. If I'm walking, that's what it looks like. this hand goes back as this goes forward, and like that's swinging, right? We're going to talk a little bit about it as we go forward, but that's perfectly normal. So when my hands go, that's how my hips actually work. That's part of it. Okay, so now that we've got, and so it's really important for you guys to understand how your spine, if your spine worked better, your arms would be pretty much automatic. So what we're trying to do is show you guys how your legs are going to support your action, how your spine's actually going to work, and your arms really you don't have to do so much with. But we're upper body dominant animals, because what do? We sit and we do all this stuff with our hands. So we want something, we'll lean. Instead of going like this, we'll just lean. We're trying to knock that instinct out. When we talked about Fryette's law, right? I talked about how you use your spine. So if I side bend and extend, rotation happens to the opposite side. That's Fryette's law, that law of skeletal anatomy. So if I'm thinking it through, that this is the extension piece, right? So I got a little bit of side bending. If I get my extension piece by staying behind it, and that I need to be in this situation, then it's going to promote the rotation. So the answer, I think, is yes, right? I'm not going to get my rotation going this way, or if I'm flexed, I'm not going to get my rotation. So every good player I know has had that sensation that when they stayed in the shot, they just turned all the way through really fast, and you're like, well, what's that phenomenon from? I didn't really even try to turn, and I got through it like crazy. So that's one of the things we were talking